How you doing today, boys and girls? Today we're going to be taking a look at using the midpoint and the distance formulas. There's going to be several different things we're going to do, and we're going to break this down into 3 videos. So let's go ahead and get started with our very first one. Now, first thing we want to do is take a look at this piece. Lengths are equal and segments are congruent. So it's a notational piece, but when you say lengths are equal, notice right here you're going to have an equal sign in between 2 segments. Now when you talk about segments being congruent, it's slightly different notation-wise. So you're going to, when segments are congruent, notice here you're going to have that little symbol there, and that symbol means it's congruent to. So when we see that symbol, that's how we'll pronounce that. So that is congruent to. The other thing you want to pay attention to is right above the letters A, B, and C, D, you will notice above there you will see a line segment right above the letters A, B, and C, D. So slightly different notational things, and those will be pieces that will be important as we go through this piece together. Now, let's first take a look at our first definition here. When we're taking a look at the very first picture, we can see that M is our midpoint, and a midpoint divides a segment into 2 congruent segments. Now, with that said, there's going to be 2 different statements we could make here. Now, one statement is going to be AM is equal to MB. That's going to be one of our statements. Our other statement that we could make, we could say that segment AM is congruent to segment MB. And notice both of them talk about the same pieces, but our notation is slightly different. When we take a look at our next definition, a blank is anything that intersects a segment at the midpoint. You can probably tell from the picture, segment bisector. So a segment bisector is anything that intersects the segment at the midpoint. Now, here in our diagram it says CD is the segment bisector of segment AB. So this piece right here, CD, what that's going to do is take segment AB and it's going to chop it in half. Now, a couple things notationally that we can see from here. This little symbol right here and right here, that symbol means 2 things. It means those 2 parts are equal. So the A to M piece is going to be equal to the M to B piece. So where that splits, A to M and then from B to M, those 2 pieces are going to be equal. And that's what those 2 yellow, what I highlighted in yellow, that's what those 2 symbols mean when you see that on a diagram. So you'll need to be very familiar with what those symbols mean when you see that on a diagram. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. It says in diagram segment RT bisects UV at point S. US equals 42.5 centimeters. Find UV. So there's going to be several different things we're going to have to take a look at here, but based on our drawing and based on the information we're given, what I want to do first is let's fill in the information that we have. Now, we're told that the US part is 42.5. So from here to here, that whole length, I'm told, is 42.5. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in, 42.5 centimeters. Now, the piece that they're asking us to find is UV. So they want to know from U all the way over here to V. They want to know how long that entire segment is. Well, I can use what I know from my given diagram. This piece right here of 42.5 and the piece from V to S, that's also going to be 42.5. Now, the UV piece, that's going to be equal to the VS part and the SU piece. But I know the values for both of those pieces already. And I know VS and SU, both of those are 42.5. So And then when I do the arithmetic there, 42.5 plus 42.5 gives me a total of 85. So UV has a length of 85. Now, I've got to be careful here. Don't forget to add the units on the end of it. So I need to go back and double check to make sure that we answer the question. And the question said find UV. I have the value for UV right here, and I've included my units, so I've done what the question has asked me to do. Now let's go ahead and take a look at example 2. If M is the midpoint of segment CD, find the length of segment CM. Now, again, we're going to take a look at our picture, and I notice this piece right here and this piece right here, because of the way the diagram is marked, those two components, those two pieces are equal. So what I can do then, that's going to tell me what equation I need to set up. If those two pieces are equal, then all that I need to do is simply set up the equation where you have the CM part equal to the MD part. And this is how I want you guys to write this in your notes. CM equals MD. Now I'm just going to use the substitution property of equality. 6x plus 4 is going to go in for CM. And then for MD, I'm going to put in 7x minus 2. Now just kind of a side note, if you would have called CM MC, or you'd have called MD DM, you're still talking about the same piece. So it'd be okay to switch the letters around. You're still talking about the same part. Now once I have this set up, there are multiple different ways to solve this. I'm going to start by kind of taking a look at 7x is going to be bigger than 6x, so I'm going to use the subtraction property of equality and subtract 6x from both sides, and that's going to leave me with just x minus 2 on the right side. Now I'm going to use the addition property of equality and add 2 to both sides to come up with 6. Now, I got a value of 6 for x, but I need to go back up and take a look at what the question asked me to find. It said find the length of CM. Well, all I know right now is what the value of x is. And this is a very common mistake. Sometimes students will get the value for x and think that they're done. In this case, we're not. So we've got to go back and find out how long CM is. So CM is represented by the expression 6x plus 4. Now I know that x is 6. So I'm just going to take that value of 6 and I'm going to plug that in for x. And again, notice how I'm writing my equation, keeping everything nice, neat, and organized. So 6 is what's going to go in here for x. Now from this point on, the rest of it is just arithmetic. So 6 times 6 is 36, plus 4, I end up with a total of 40. Now I'm not given any units on this one, so to say that CM is 40, and that is the end of this problem.